welcome to another video, A Walk with Phil, and I'm in West Bromwich and I'm in a familiar place today. I'm standing here in Dartmouth Square. I've filmed around here a few times, but what I want to do today, I know I've been up Bull Street a few times, but I just wanted to point out to you a few shops that used to run along Bull Street. Bull Street used to be a very popular shopping area back in after the Second World War really, and it was right up until the 70s when the whole place got bulldozed, and that was really the end of Bull Street. But I'll show you what's left here and also try and point out what used to be here in Bull Street. Yeah, let's just show you around now. Yeah, I'm in Dartmouth Square, as I said. Here we can see the pedestal clock just standing proudly there here in Dartmouth Square. I've said before it used to be in the centre here back in the I think it was in the 80s, and they got filling in the familiar eyesore building there of Bond Wolf, which is a hotel. And we look down towards Spond Lane where we've got the large ski slope roofed college, the Super College. But what I'm going to do is I'll show you this side of Bull Street first, and I'll cross over and show you the other side. So here now we've got all new apartments all along here now. That was built, I don't know, about the 2000s I think. They're all very fancy and swanky. These look fairly smart on here. There is, I don't know what that shop is there on the corner. 145 High Street. It looks like a health store of some sort, but who remembers when it used to be an Indian restaurant? It used to be the Shalimar. Yeah, I remember it was the Shalimar back in the 70s, and it was one of these restaurants that used to open really late. We got this takeaway here called Burger and Sauce. I don't know how popular that is. It's 1:30 on a Monday afternoon. So you'd expect it to be a few people being in there, but I can't really see many in there at the moment. Now from this point onwards, here from this shop, you can see right up to there where the cream coloured building is. These are all original shops from the mainly from the 1910s, 1900s. Yeah, all along this side of the road you'd have stores such as seed and bulb merchants, newsagents, cycle shops, drapery, outfitters. They're all and a cafe all along this side of the road. There would be a drapery store, and they'd all be busy. There'd always be loads of customers along this road. That one there, Dimple Fashion Creations, I remember that recently being a computer repair store, but that's the newest store in town. And then if you're interested, it's called the West Bromwich Nail Salon. Yeah, just recently opened. And Pertemps, that's been there ages, hasn't it? Pertemps. And there's a letting agency called Apex next to there, and we've got an hair and beauty shop. Again, I suppose that one's probably enormously popular. But what's interesting here, of course, is that, see that shop there where it's got the under offer to let? That used to be Birch Chinton's. That's where I bought my first ever bike from, and a lot of people from West Bromwich are very familiar with Birch Chinton's. Birch Chinton's he had one store. This was the first store. He bought the next one a few years later, so he had a double fronted store. He also owned the stores in number 1 and 2 in Bull Street. He also owned a store in the High Street from 1938 because he got into radios. It was a radio shop at number 200 High Street. His name was Albert Edward Shinton, and he moved into that store in 1908. Looking at the old Shinton store there, it's been like that now for I don't know, 30 years. 40 years, could be, I don't really know, but I know Shinton's went a long time ago. There's a private shop there. Well, that private shop, that's been there about over 30 years. I don't know how popular that is, especially now we've got the internet, but all that used to be a newsagents. Here used to be a seed and bulb merchants, Ellison's. And this store here, the Sound and Light building, they sell drums, musical instruments, amplifiers. That's been there for some time now, as that one there, the electrical wholesalers. But that used to be an old furniture shop called Carless. That had been there since around about 1910. I think that furniture store, as it was, limped along until about the 1984 before it finally closed down. But at least it's a very old shop, and at least it's still got some use, because that Sound and Light's been there quite some time, so they must be doing all right. Now here was all another row of shops along here, but you can see now there are all these apartments now, completely destroying the character and the soul of Bull Street. And I've said before, these look strange. They don't look very interesting to me. They look a bit odd, especially that horrid brown stain that runs along the front of the buildings. This is where Bull Street would now end, and it was just about here, I think. There used to be an orthopaedic store in the 80s. I think it's a bloke called Kitson's. He was a chiropractor, and in the 50s, 60s, there used to be a cafe there called Joy's Cafe. This isn't Bull Street now, it kind of ends here. We got Walsall Street that runs just a few yards. I've said this before. That used to be the White Hart Inn on the corner, and then it became the Drunken Duck in 2001, but it didn't last for very long before it's now a Tiny Tots Academy. 3 surviving buildings just there as well. I think one used to be hairdressers, and the Brunch, I think that used to be a chip shop. Okay, so now we're going to look on the other side of Bull Street. All the buildings on that side of the road were all demolished in the late 60s to make way for what was then became the West Bromwich Ringway, which we used to run along here, and it used to run through there, through the New Square shopping centre as it is now. It used to run alongside the Queen's or the Sandwell Centre as it was back then, and go around towards the High Street. But when they built the New Square shopping centre, they effectively took that road out. So you go up this way now, and you go around a ring road further up. But all along here, we used to have men's outfitters, drapery stores, newsagents, cafe. Just a bit further down there, there used to be Trow's ice cream parlour. It's amazing how many people still remember Trow's ice cream parlour. It was a very, very famous place. It closed down in 1967 before all the buildings along this side were all demolished in 1969. Just ahead of me here, just around about here, would have been Pitt Street. It would have gone through this dreadful, horrible, awful mural that cost, I don't know, millions or whatever, to be painted here on these white boards. Why do the council waste so much money on ridiculous stuff like that? It'd been better just being a white board, as you can see just up there. Anyway, it's only our money, isn't it? But anyway, that was Pitt Street. It went through there, and just on the corner of Pitt Street would have been a pub called the Open Anchor. Next to that was a huge grocer's store called Speaks, and it used to sell a lot of fresh farm produce. Very popular store back in those days. And along here we'd have a newsagent just here, or a cafe as well would be there. And outside, I'm not sure it was at the cafe or the the newsagent. There was a. Do you remember them? These. I'll show you. Here's a picture of what I'm talking about. Okay, so you used to see loads of them everywhere, and you used to get an extra free beech nut or whatever it was every fourth turn. And there was one of those on one of the shops over there. But I'm looking now, you can't imagine that this all along here was, all those shops along here, there'd be hundreds of people thronging Bull Street, shopping on both sides of this road. And Pitt Street, as I said over there, but Pitt Street was just mainly terraced housing. There was no shops along Pitt Street, but it would join Queen Street just over there before the shopping centre was built. And Queen Street would be a hub of entertainment because it had a theatre, it had a cinema, there was churches, shops, but that all got destroyed when they decided to modernise the whole area of the centre of West Bromwich. They've also tried to make it a green space. We've got in the centre there's areas where they've planted, but look at it now. It's just they're just a load of weeds in there now, as for all I can see. If they're going to, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about now. I'm going back over the other side of the road and I'll show you what I mean, because this is they've spent a lot of money along Bull Street on this side of the road. You can see they're very nice sort of paving slabs that they've laid here. It's all fine, but look at this. I mean, the trees are all in rows, but I just don't get this. You know, it looks very weedy. None of the plants are being looked after and taken care of. There's some nice little seating areas in between, but I'm not sure if you do like to sit amongst all the traffic. This was, again, look, you can see some concrete seating and a little concrete bench here. But look at the state of it all round here. You know, you could have made this you could have cut it back, made some nice lawn here. Could have fed the pigeons. Which doesn't look particularly attractive to sit there. Just over there, where we've got all that where they're storing like construction equipment, that used to be the spot where the multi-storey car park was, but that's all gone now. It's all been fetched down, and my understanding is in that place there they're going to build some apartment blocks, and all this area is going to be it's all going to be greened. You're going to have a parkway with seating, trees, but that's what I've heard. I've heard nothing concrete, and that would all lead on down Scottish Passage there onto the Princess Parade area of the High Street. That's what I've heard, but I don't know what's I don't know anything concrete. But you see this road here, this access road, this used to be the road that would take you onto the multi-storey car park. And you can see just there as well, in front of those cars where those gates are, it's a fly tipping paradise there. Loads of fly tipping goes on. And but now, of course, there's the odd 2 or 3 shops surviving now. Again, look at these plants. They all look a bit bedraggled to me. Yeah, it's been a lot of money been spent along Bull Street. That can't be denied, and it does look a bit smart in places, but sadly, it just looks neglected. Okay then, folks, that's the end of our little walk around Bull Street, and it has to be said that the street ain't what it used to be. Bull Street was a very popular street back in the day when you used to go shopping here in West Bromwich town, just off the high street. It was, but sadly Bull Street isn't a patch on what it used to be now. It's now largely forgotten. But anyway, if you like the video, hit the like button and also hit subscribe and hit the notification bell for new videos, and I'll see you on the next one.